Hello and welcome to week 34 of the FUT Weekly podcast, and this is a content pod. It's Premier League team of the season, and we have with us, as we so often do, 𝗲𝗍𝗻. Welcome back.
Thank you much. Happy to be back. Slowly making my way through my champs matches, and hoping to continue my Premier League pack luck.
Yeah, you let slip before the podcast, but I'm sure you'll mention it again. We also have with us Spreadsheet Josh, as he used to be known, but now JoshXLS. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm. Premier League TOTS is here, and I've packed a couple, which was exciting. Nothing outrageous, but so that means all Arsenal players. But it was. It's been fun.
Yeah, I've got a few as well, and I've no doubt our next guest has too. Welcome back to the pod, Richard Buckley.
Thank you very much, Ben. As always, I have got a few. Best player being Ruben Dias so far.
Not bad.
Who is remarkable. But yeah, I think 6 or 7. So I'm doing well so far.
Yeah, I got it was actually a little bit annoying. I managed to not make 16 wins. I mean, it wasn't because of this. It's because I was cramming all my games on Friday because I thought it worked the week before, but I was definitely well past my bedtime by the time I was finishing up the games. But in my game for 16 wins, I matched up against 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘃, the DC United Pro. So obviously
unlucky.
Got slapped, yeah. And actually, it wasn't that bad. It was like 4-2, but still, I had no chance. But the red picks weren't great. Got Trippier and Bruno G, who's actually pretty good.
He's very good.
Yeah. And then in the untradeable TOTS pack, I got KDB.
Oh,
wow. It's good, and he's in my team, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of affection for the man, so I kind of rather it was tradable, to be honest.
I can't believe we're already moaning about packing KDB and a certain other player that's going to be mentioned later on. It's
time out.
Honestly.
Ben is moaning about packing KDB.
Wow.
I'm moaning about packing team of the season Rashford, just because I think that he is super overpriced for what he is. And I would just rather, I don't think KDB is overpriced.
Yeah, he's not overpriced. It'd just be nice.
Yeah, Rashford for 6 million though. Let me rephrase that. Rashford's very, very good. Like, he's very good. He just, his stamina runs out like kind of fast, which I find to be a little bit annoying. I think he's best suited to play out wide. In either if you're playing like a 4-3-2-1 as one of the wide center forwards, or like in a 4-2-3-1 as one of the wide attacking mids. Like, I think that's where and get the most out of him. Unfortunately, I have a giant gaping hole at the striker position that was previously filled by 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘦, and I don't want to use him anymore, so I've been playing Rashford at striker, and his movement's like a little bit weird at striker, but on the ball, he feels great. I mean, he's strong. He's got like all the skills, and but I would not say he's like the most, sometimes there are players that feel like they're like the most important part of your team. And you're not quite sure what you would do without them. He's not that guy for me.
And do you think his composure is an issue? I mean, 88 is, considering his other stats, is low.
It's definitely an issue. He misses weird ones where you're like, I don't really understand how, like, I would expect him to score that, and he like doesn't, and you're like, can I have the coins like instead?
Yeah.
It's the same thing where you'd expect they would just boost that rating for the stage of the game that we're at, and they haven't. Like, same thing with Odegaard and his reactions. Like, you'd expect those to get like fixed, especially relative to some of the new like EFL team of the season cards. Like, why aren't we boosting Rashford's composure up to like 92 or something like that? I mean, he points to his head. It's all about composure with him. So I don't. It definitely lets him down, though. Like, no question about it. There have been multiple times when I was playing on Friday where I put my controller down to take a drink of water and realized that the ball hadn't gone in.
Early Christmas quiz for you. Trophy Titans R9. Team of the Year Ronaldinho. Team of the Year 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘀. Team of the Year Mbappe. Prime R9. What do these 5 players have in common?
Are they all unavailable on the market?
5-star?
They're the only 5 players more expensive than Team of the Season Rashford on the game.
Wow.
Jeez Louise.
I mean, it's ridiculous how expensive he is.
Josh, why do you think he is so expensive? Is it just because it's like the best Rashford card we've ever had and people love Rashford?
Maybe we'll get onto it. I think there's quite a lot of underwhelmed people on Friday when the ratings started being leaked for Premier League Team of the Season. And he's one of the few that whelms. And he's kind of, he's got 5-star, 4-star, 99 pace with like 6'1". With that dribbling, he's got a body type that he just seems to have been quite a meta player now in the game for 2 or 3 years. He's obviously got the United fan base, the England fan base, the kind of, he's beginning this year, I think, with his scoring ability to get that kind of name recognition worldwide. And not that he necessarily didn't have that before, but I just think that all kind of plays into a card like this having a value this high. I mean, I would like to say it's also because he's very difficult to pack, but of the sample size of 4 people on this podcast, 1 in 4 of us are packing him apparently. So, I think it's a whole mix of factors. His ability to play both in the wing position and at striker. He's filling that left wing role, and my kind of knowledge of Premier League players in that position isn't brilliant, but I don't think there are too many kind of high-level Premier League players that can play on the left wing. You've got, obviously, the Son moments team of the season, and then you're going down to, like, Martinelli and Julian Alvarez. You could play Ginella over there, but you're not going to play him at striker.
You got St-Maximin.
Yeah, but you're going down to, like, a 91 rated for St. Max, and I know he's an SBC, he's coming in at 650k. His stats aren't like close to comparable to Rashford's. Rashford is in mid-90s for shooting and dribbling, 92 passing and 99 pace, and he's got that 5-star skill move, so it removes that kind of element. So in terms of if you're looking to build a Premier League team, I think that's why he's right up there.
I would also say it's important, I think you mentioned it briefly, to think that, if EA really want to make a player very valuable, they can. They just pick someone who's fairly desirable and make them very, very rare. And that is a way to ensure a player has a high price. If they're someone like Rashford, it makes sense in many ways for them because it adds a desirable player to the pool of players and makes them rare enough that their price goes up and they become more desirable as a result, and kind of that marquee item. So I think that makes sense. And I mean, it's a shame for those of us who want to use a Rashford that is that good and may not have the coins to get him. But I guess it's part of the way the game works. Talking of Manchester United team of the season players, let's get into pound for pound powerhouse. We've got a good nomination here for team of the season, Casemiro from 𝗏𝗏 for this week's pound for pound. And actually, I should say there is the ongoing poll for pound powerhouse pre-team of the season, and that's over on Twitter if you want to vote at FUT Weekly Pod. It's going into the final round of voting. But yeah, 𝗏𝗏 says Casemiro is a perfect CDM and has a wonderful auto block abilities from end of last cycle. He is default lengthy, and with shadow chemistry style, he has 88 acceleration, 96 sprint speed, and 96 and above in all defensive awareness stats, bar 88 heading accuracy, and is made very clear by 𝗵𝘃𝑠 so far this year. Reactions and composure are so important, and he doesn't even lack there, with 97 reactions and 93 composure. I know the balance stat is low at 73, but he won't be making any dribbles really, so he'll just do the dirty work like he does in real life. And with the high defensive medium attacking work rates, he's the perfect stay-back CDM for just 150k at the time of writing. A nice first nomination. And let's go to you then, Richard, as the least regular here. Who's your pound for pound for this week?
I'm torn. I've got 2 in mind, but I'm going to go for a SBC, a flashback SBC, coming in at about 200k, and that's Kai Havertz. I've got no affiliation to Chelsea whatsoever, but I just like Havertz. I think it goes back to his FIFA 19 team of the season when he was just unbelievable with the 5-star weak foot back in FIFA 19. And I played his rule breaker early doors when tall players were just unbelievable, and he was just electric for me. I saw this SBC come up. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. I've been playing 5-4-1, and I need, like, in the formation, my centre mids are basically just like shadow strikers with how I'm playing it. So he just fits that role perfectly. I don't really need a good defender in there because I've got 5 defenders behind him. But because of how tall he is, he's perfect for that role. He gets forward. He's got great passing. He can dribble. He's got all the key components of like a really, really solid player, and he's in the team. He's a mainstay right now in central midfield. I'm a big fan of his.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen a fair bit of hype for him actually. So he wasn't someone I was thinking looked amazing, but when you, I guess, think about his like size and his high dribbling stats and all that kind of stuff, it definitely makes sense. Also got quite satisfying 90 jumping, 90 stamina and 90 strength all in a row. And yeah, looks good, and a good one to mention because we would have talked about this SBC, I'm sure. Right, let's come to you, Josh. Who are you going to go for this week for pound?
I'm going to go with a team that I think was maybe underrepresented in Team of the Season, and that's Newcastle, and Kieran Trippier's Team of the Season card, because it's only 70k and has just been consistently getting cheaper. I think 92s at fodder level are kind of in the 50s, so he's not too much higher than that. But in terms of a solid right back, you really can't ask for too much more than what he offers you. Like, his pace has been given a massive boost. I don't know if you remember his winter wildcards, where you got it, I think it was for 2 tokens. It was one of the best valued things we got all year, and that had a massive pace boost. And it's a similar card. It's comparable to that, but with kind of those sizable upgrades that you can really feel in places. His agility is the only thing that really lets him down going forward. You know, depending on whether you think 3-star skill moves for a right back is a killer, but defensively, he's absolutely solid. He's got 97 stamina, so just goes all day long. And he's got that 90 shot power that means his long shots are good enough. His passing is unbelievable. His crossing, like if you're a German crosser, he is beautiful at that. And yeah, I bought him to kind of pair up with Saka, who I'd packed, and I was really, really impressed with him.
Yeah, another good nomination. We'll move on to JAPES. Who are you going to nominate for pound this week?
Yeah, this is like a weird one, and people are going to be like, what? Yeah, I mentioned before players that just sort of make your club or make the squad like tick. Introducing Martinelli into my central cam position was game changing. And I'll tell you why. I looked at his stats, and if you wanted to play him with a maestro, I'm using him with a marksman, but if you wanted to play him with a maestro, he'll have 99 reactions and 99 aggression. For me, I'm playing him with the marksman chem, which gives him 96 reactions, but 98 agility, 95 balance, like basically, 96 reactions, 99 ball control, 99 dribbling, 99 finishing. And he's got 90 short passing base. So with the marksman, he gets up to 86 strength, but that 99 aggression means that he bombs around everywhere. He fights for everything. And he's so good in like a press after possession loss because he's like more than happy to make a run and just get in there. And because he's got such high base sprint speed, like that card is insane. I mean, he's only 4-star, and yes, he's missing. Actually, no, I think he has the traits. I think he has both outside the foot and finesse. And he's just like one of my probably favorite cards that I've used this year. He's so good. He's so good. And obviously the Brazilian links are nice. I think I've played 5 games with him so far, and he's on like 8 goals and 6 assists and like champs from like an attacking mid position. He's far more important to the team than Rashford is. And that's where the comparison goes. And I will say, I packed that Rodrigo team of the season in my Reds last week, and he puts Rodrigo to shame as well. I would take Martinelli over Rodrigo any day of the week. Yeah,
he's just such a great presser. The road to the final was really, really good.
He's insane.
Yeah. And I don't know, he fell behind the curve a bit, but I'm sure with the added stats the team of the season has, he'll be really, really good. So the player I'm going to mention is pretty left field, and it's an EFL player for pound, but realistically, we've already got the pound for pound nominations, the 4 that will go into the poll. That'll be on Twitter at @FootWeeklyPod. But I will mention this player, the 20k Team of the Year Virgil van Dijk, after the break. Hello, listener. I thought in this break I'd see whether I can interest you in this week's gameplay episode, where we'll be talking in depth about 3-4-2-1 and 5-4-1, discussing what makes it so good, how to get the most out of it yourself and the tactics that Richard and I have been using to great effect in the recent Champs weekends. You can find that and, of course, that 36,000 FIFA point giveaway over on the Patreon. The Patreon keeps the podcast going and it makes FUT Weekly possible, makes it weekly. It wasn't for a time able to be weekly, so it's amazing to be able to do that. If you'd like to support and get those bonus episodes and enter the giveaway, it's just £3 a month. You can head over and enter that giveaway directly by going to bit.ly/23 TOTS, all lowercase, or you can follow the link in the description of this podcast or just search support FUT Weekly. A huge thank you for considering it if you do, and if you're a current supporter, a huge thank you for supporting. And let's get back into the podcast. Hello, welcome back after the break. So my slightly tongue-in-cheek pound-for-pound nomination that I mentioned is the Sheffield United centre-back for Bosnia and Herzegovina. So already you're thinking, there's no way you're getting this guy into your team. 𝗵𝗄𝘅𝘁𝗄𝘃, I believe is possibly how you pronounce it. And he is 6'5", which is slightly taller than Virgil van Dijk, actually. He has the same strength. He has pretty similar, well, actually has slightly higher interceptions, but slightly lower defensive awareness. His dribbling stats are really similar, apart from this Sheffield United centre-back has 96 agility over Van Dijk's 80, and Virgil van Dijk has slightly lower acceleration, both max sprint speed. And yeah, this includes 96 reactions, 99 composure, 96 short passing.
That's insane.
99 shot power.
Look at those stats.
Yeah, it is crazy. He's stupidly good. And maybe it's because they know obviously you're not going to be able to get good chemistry on him. You can't icon block anymore, can you? So that makes it difficult. But a really good player. And I think one of the less controversial inclusions, but there have been seemingly quite a few controversial inclusions in this EFL team of the season. But there are loads of really good players. I mean, if you look at the two Burnley players, they both have a 5-star each in weak foot and skill moves. You can get them in pretty easily just with a manager of the same league, but they're actually very expensive as a result. So it'll be interesting to see how the prices pan out on these. But I know the thing that a lot of people have been saying is, with the ridiculous run they've been on, where are the Ipswich players?
As someone who watches League One, Ipswich have been outstanding this year. Like, I'm pretty sure they've got the Golden Boot winner, 𝘵𝗓𝘁, who's nowhere to be seen. They got the Golden Glove winner, and they've got the player with the most assists in the league, and they've got no team of the season.
That's mad.
Like, representation. I think the EFL in general, I think the fact that we crammed 3 leagues into 14 players, just give us a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Just stretch it a little bit. Like, nowhere else has this many teams in one team of the season.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, they used to do Rest of World. I don't know if I guess they're not doing that anymore.
It's weird. Rest of World, Josh, unless I'm wrong, isn't actually in the schedule, but we did have it last year, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if they'll call it Rest of the World, but yeah, we did. Again, it's another thing that the new chemistry system just doesn't take into account. Like, you can't put a player in a corner and put some icons around them and just have them on chemistry. Like, it doesn't do it. And so, you either, for me, it should be take 2 of the best players from the best team in the league that's strong linked together and just give us those. So at least we can just put them in and have them on 2 chemistry, with the manager. So, it'd be 3 chemistry with the manager, wouldn't it? I don't know. A lot of people have spent a long time saying, just make these players that no one's ever going to use really good, because who cares? No one's really going to put them into your team. And it feels like they've done it this year. But the fact that Arsenal reject 𝘬𝘃𝗃, who left them in 2018 to go to 𝘭𝘃 Salonika, has a higher rated TOTS cards than any Arsenal player in a year where they have led the league for 90% of the time that the league's been going, I don't understand.
We know they're Spurs fans, City, eh? Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, well, it must be.
Honestly, all you have to do is look at the Odegaard, right? I mean, I think probably one of the most, or if not the most influential midfielder of this Premier League season. Yes, De Bruyne, but he's always very good. And in terms of Arsenal's players, I think Arsenal fans, they can correct me if I'm wrong, would probably pick him out as the most important player consistently throughout the cycle of the season. And in terms of important goals, things like that, he has been really, really important and should probably be one of their best team of the season players, but he's realistically one of the worst. And he's a very composed midfielder. Yeah, he has 85 composure and 80 reactions, right?
If Haaland, and it's a if and hypotheses, if Haaland didn't do what he did this season, Odegaard wins Player of the Year. Like he's been outstanding this year. He's guided Arsenal through this season as captain, as scoring big goals, being key in huge games. He should arguably be like KDB levels of team of the season, 95, 96 rated.
What feels so odd to me is that his player of the month has 80 reactions as well.
Yeah.
Like they were like, yeah, you know what? We'll take this 80 player of the month. We're going to boost a bunch of things by like 3, 4, 2, boost the defense by a lot. But reactions, nah, screw that guy. 80 reactions.
Yeah.
Like what? It's so bizarre, especially when you see players now, not just, I suppose they also just gave him a 2 bump to composure, but you're looking across the board at some of these other boosts and it's like, all right, look, we know you could boost this, but clearly, I guess that wasn't a priority. Like, I don't really understand.
Yeah.
It feels like a common thread for the Arsenal players because Saka's 89 Team of the Year nominee has 1 extra jumping and 1 extra composure than his 93 Team of the Season. Martinelli's the same.
Yeah. Well, they have, Heung-min Son has his 91 rated cards that were earlier, and those are at either like 93 or 94 composure, and they boosted him at least still up 3 to 97 reactions is what I'm getting at. His composure was also boosted like 3 or 4, and it's just one of those you look at and it's there's no amount of discussion or logic that we can try to apply to this situation that's going to give us a feasible outcome that we are like, yeah, you know what, that makes sense, right? Because even other Arsenal players like Saliba got +5 in his reaction stat. And you're like, they clearly can do it. They did it for other players. It's the like individual stats that just don't make any sense.
Yeah, as someone who got both versions of FUT Birthday Zinchenko untradeable, and then also got him offered in both of my red picks, and got him untradeable, the team of the season. Finding out that his sprint speed is actually 2 lower on the team of the season than the FUT Birthday just feels really bizarre, especially when that is a weak area that could have easily been boosted and made that team of the season version more desirable. And, the power curve moves on. We can do that. It's fine. Like, it's not going to cause any huge issues. And actually, Zinchenko isn't particularly great because of that. It's funny, actually, because the most valuable Arsenal team of the season is actually, and highest rated or joint highest rated, is actually 𝘵𝗫𝗄, who isn't even a player who's played many games or had much of an impact at all. And we can't avoid talking about team of the season Arsenal players clearly, because we need to move on to talking about centre-backs, I think, is something that people have been talking about. Quite a few good new centre-backs added with the team of the season Premier League. We've got Varane, who is kind of ridiculously good. I would say possibly even the best centre-back in the game now. And how he's got into team of the season as a United fan, I'm not really sure. But talking about the other centre-backs, actually, Diaz and Saliba, both pretty significant additions to the centre-back landscape, if you like.
They are. I actually wouldn't include Saliba in that grouping because his fantasy foot that only didn't get upgraded to 91 because he got injured has 9 more agility, 4 more heading accuracy, and 2 more balance than his team of the season. So I actually don't think he's that significant of an upgrade compared to the other two. Diaz, and like I've used Diaz, and he was kind of like he was last year, which is just a joke. Kind of once if you especially if you're playing with three centre backs. I think in a 4-back he's not quite at that level, but he was absolutely brilliant. And he's got that really high sprint speed. So once he's kind of up to speed, he can catch, he can stay with anybody. But that Varane card caught me really off guard because I was expecting a 𝘵𝘬𝗀𝘀𝘁 card, like a Lisandro Martinez card, because he's probably been one of the best centre-backs in the league this year, probably in the top 5, you'd say. Whereas Varane's kind of been a bit up and down, but it's, again, that name recognition, the fact he's French, like the links that he's going to get, the 4-star weak foot, 99 reactions, 99 composure, 99 strength. It does feel like that's a step up in terms of the defensive ability to combat the kind of high speed, high agility attackers. He is crazy, but he has that 48 balance. Having not used him, I don't know if that's kind of counteracting some of those other stats a bit.
Yeah, I did actually get a loan just for 7 games, which I used in champs, and the whole loan thing is a whole nother conversation. It's just getting a bit ridiculous at this point, but I did use him to help me in the final stages of champs. Obviously, not much he could do against 𝘭𝘃𝗲𝗏, but he tried his best, and actually, he is ridiculous. Like, definitely the best centre-back I've used this cycle. It's funny, he doesn't feel quite as clear as you'd expect, maybe, and I don't know whether that's just because its acceleration isn't quite as high as it could be because it's 94 with a shadow, but the fact he is as quick as he is, he's lengthy, he has those ridiculous stats. I think people are saying, oh, how can he be so expensive when someone like 𝘵𝘂𝘃 is that much cheaper? But there's just always a premium on the top, I guess, 2 centre-backs in the game, basically, which I think he is now. And yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's weird that he's a Moments, though, isn't it? It's like, I don't know how that whole thing works. Feels strange. But the thing that I was going to move us on to actually is, maybe we might come back to this, but cover a few other bits of content that we've had. From your perspective, Josh, they're really leaning into the whole crafting thing, right? We were saying earlier in the cycle, how many people actually want to grind League SBCs. That's probably why we haven't seen them yet, because they're not super popular. They've done their best to kind of like push people towards the idea of crafting, and there's been a lot of content around it. And Craft the Glory, which gives you Mitoma and Paulinho, it's nice to see this, I guess, and it kind of is something that will get people doing these things.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're trying to now create a balance between the gameplay side and the menu side, whereas I feel like it has been imbalanced in previous years. Like this is now do 20 completions of bronze, silver, gold upgrade, and the Premier League upgrade that's coming today, which I'll be interested to see, because the rest of them kind of make sense together. A bronze upgrade into a silver upgrade makes sense, and the silver upgrade into a gold upgrade makes sense. But that gold upgrade, are you going to be able to complete a Premier League premium upgrade with that? I don't. Be interesting to see. But that combined with the swap season, I think they were calling it, where essentially just for playing the game, they've started removing this. You have to play it in squad battles or in rivals. It's just play the game, and you'll start unlocking things without really knowing what you're doing or unlocking them. And if you want to deliberately go and do them, you can do. I think it's the kind of menu side of things and the gameplay objective side of things have been brilliant. I think they've nailed a lot of it for TOTS this year. So many pack rewards now coming, again, just from playing the game, just getting in and having a match. And what I hope it drives us towards is a more casual area for people playing the game that just want to go in and have fun and unlock things, and then having the kind of competitive modes go back to actually being the competitive modes rather than being the friendly modes that they were kind of being treated before.
Yeah, it's interesting in terms of the balance. I think you're right. There is a better balance at the moment between the different things than there has been. And I don't know whether, Richard, I know you're big into the gameplay side of things and tend to focus on that. Have you been playing these cups that have been coming out for the extra packs? I guess like these Team of the Season ones are very incentivized with the Team of the Season player at the end. But do you like that? I guess you're probably getting a good number of wins per day, if you like. So it's probably a good thing for you.
I mean, it feels like the most competitive thing on the game.
Oh, it does. Okay, even for you. Yeah.
I'm going into these, and it's harder than Rivals. It's harder than Champs. Like every single person in there is grinding. Like I've not had one rage quit yet. I think I'm on 9, so I need one more win. I think 9 out of 10. So I'll get that tonight. Get the pack. But it is just I agree with Josh. I think the balance at the minute, it feels nice. If they'd give all the objectives straight away and just let people blitz through it, it would have been somewhat overwhelming. Like when I see the objective tab just full, I just think, wow, like I didn't complete any of Lampard, any of Bergkamp, just because I felt as though it was just so much. Whereas they're sort of drip feeding it throughout team of the season, and you can sort of do it at your own pace. Like if you've got a couple of days off and you think, right, I'm going to do the cup, I'm going to play this, I'm going to do this, you can get a lot of it done in if you like put time into it, which I like. But yeah, those cups, when we get around to League 1 and everyone's running around with lone team leader 𝘵𝑚bappé, it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Potentially 𝘵ci as well, if they're using the player of the month or whatever. I actually did finish my birthday, what's it called? I finished my Team of Season Cup games on Sunday night. So I have the pack here, which I can open on the podcast.
Packs.
I'm going to go Saka.
Yeah, what are our guesses? It's a Team of the Season Premier League player for those who hadn't spotted that.
Does it include moments?
It does include moments, yeah.
Could be a Reece James. I'm going Saka.
Oh,
packed him 3 times already.
Oh, that's pretty good. He's like 700k.
Yeah, it's shame he's untradeable.
Yeah. Right, let's open it. Okay. It is Reece James and it's a dupe, so we'll move swiftly on. Hopefully that makes the listeners feel a bit better, and if you don't get there, don't get to the 10 wins. It's probably just a dupe Reece James waiting for you. Right, so we've covered most bits of content. There's also the Chong and Watkins objectives. I think both look pretty good. I mean, Chong obviously a little awkward to link.
Watkins is very good.
Yeah, Watkins is 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills, isn't he? And actually, I mean, when you look at some of the players we've had, he's got to be, in terms of his stats, because of his like ridiculous strength, the fact he has like high agility too, as I said, 5-star weak foot. Some excellent stats. I think people who are running, very budget teams and things like that will definitely want to get them done. Also, as you said, I think you end up completing these almost accidentally, right? And it's made me do objectives that I wouldn't have done otherwise, because I was like part of the way through and I ended up finishing off Joelinton, even though I was wondering whether I would do him, just because I needed to play like 6 more games with an extra Brazilian player in my squad or an extra couple of Premier League players in my squad in order to complete it. So I think that is something that has been good. And actually, Japes, just to kind of wrap this conversation up, I know you're a bit of a menu detractor. How have you found content over Team of the Season so far?
I think it's pretty good. I've managed to, like I said, I've never understood why we had to play certain game modes to do like a lot of these objectives. And this just is like, I don't know, like a case in point for that in my mind. It's like, why do I need to play these certain modes? Doesn't make sense to me. And now I don't have to, and it feels really good. So that's really all there's to say about it.
I really liked just to kind of like put a bow on top now that you've wrapped it up. I really like the champs objective of getting 3 wins with teams from different leagues. It was close to what I was after in terms of that, give me a reason to build the best team from each league. But it also segmented champs into these 3-win stretches. And I kind of forgot about wanting to get 11, 14, 16. I was just like, I want to get my next 3 wins with these next players. And then, suddenly I'm putting together a terrible Bundesliga team because it's the 4th one that I'm kind of trying to go for. And then it's getting stressful towards the end. But I enjoyed having a reason to use something a little bit different. And that I think is what these objectives have started getting better at, is giving us a reason to use something different.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something that actually I hear a lot of hardcore players say about this year's cycle, is they miss having the first owner teams from each league that they are building across the cycle. And I think this cup, and obviously you're getting a lot of players through Team of the Season to add to your teams, which is making it a lot more viable to run full Premier League teams or whatever if you weren't building a Premier League team. I'm thinking ahead to Bundesliga here, where I think I'm going to be reliant on the red picks and things to build that team. Actually, it is much more possible to do that now, and we can catch up in a way. But it probably would have been nice, and I think a lot of people think it would have been nice to have some incentive to do that over the course of the cycle. So I think that's something that would be good for next year. Let's look ahead a bit, because it is Bundesliga on Friday, something I know Japes will be looking out for. I mean, I feel like my team changes every week during Team of the Season because you get these new players and you get them into their squad. But are there any particular things you're looking forward to, or particular players? Do you think we get a new Kimmich, Jape?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get a new Kimmich. I am looking forward to that. I am really like unsure who they're going to pick.
And who's going to get done dirty? I mean, based on this.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I was going to go. Is I'm fairly certain I just don't know how the ratings are going to play out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like reluctantly optimistic, Ben. We'll call it that. I feel like it's, yeah.
Well, actually, Richard, do you remember, was it last cycle where we had Premier League and it was like, no, this is all right. And then they proper like ramped up for Bundesliga, didn't they? And the content was really good. The upgrades were really good. Because I think they realized, Bundesliga isn't one of the more popular leagues, so they need to kind of go for it and step it up so that people will stay engaged, right?
Weren't it we had no real SBCs during Prem Talks, I seem to remember. Everyone were really underwhelmed. And then Bundesliga, we just got like everything. There were like 3 huge SBCs that came out during the week. And then we didn't get much for La Liga, and then Serie A gave us loads. Like, it were a weird system last year. I mean, going off the Prem, we'll probably get an unbelievable Jude Bellingham that's going to cost about 19 million coins. And then everything else is going to be somewhat average. Like, I feel as though it could be a similar theme. There'll be 1 or 2 just unbelievable stars, and then I think the rest will be...
I feel like that's a bit unfair, actually. I feel like the Premier League team of the season is actually well done in terms of the different tiers of pricing. Obviously, there's a few players under 100k, but you got like Bruno at 250, you got Saliba 400, Son 600, Saka 600, Martinelli's 300. Do you know what I mean? I think there's actually an all right spread of prices, but I think that's going to be, Josh, harder to do with the Bundesliga just because getting the desirability of players right is going to be more difficult when you have the chemistry concerns, which you probably don't really have so much with Premier League.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they need to almost give people a reason to care about a team of the season. I know that's a very like English-centric point of view. Is kind of like, why would I care about this foreign league? But there needs to be like if I've just spent a week grinding to get an amazing Premier League team, why do I care about going and trying to get a Bundesliga team for the next week? There are lots of people that will do, and there are lots of fans, like I'm a big Borussia Dortmund fan, so I'm really looking forward to like a proper 𝘵𝘂𝘁𝘍𝑒𝑟 card, because he should absolutely get one. He's been unbelievable this year. Guerrero could have... I think Guerrero low-key could genuinely have one of the best team of the season cards, because if you look at his player of the month card, and he's had quite a few specials this year that when you play them in central midfield, give them a few, like if with the chemistry style, just watch out for him. I think he could be my pound for pound potentially next week. And then there's every potential we get a French duo up top to help for linking in 𝘁𝘁𝘬𝘦 and 𝘬𝘃𝗍𝘗. 𝘬𝘃𝗲𝗍 obviously had that road to the final card that people absolutely love, which was the SBC. So, I actually think we might be sat here next week going, these cards are insane. But I could be right. I don't know if there's an Arsenal that EA will do dirty there. Maybe Bayer Leverkusen will get shafted or something. Because I kind of agree with your point that I don't necessarily think the Premier League TOTS is bad. I think it's just Arsenal players were bad, and we were expecting them to be much better. But there is 5 or 6 high level cards that have been released in Premier League, and I think we'll see the same in Bundesliga.
I think the 𝘁𝘁𝘁𝘁 card is going to be filth. I think they're going to make that. I think they're going to make it absolutely filthy.
Yeah,
because he's just like a popular name people have been talking about, and like it's coming.
Yeah,
prepare yourselves.
Considering his 84 has 83 composure, if he gets into the 90s, hopefully his composure is going to be good. He has really low balance though, doesn't he? I think 55 on his inform, which is pretty poor. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it because I did enjoy Bundesliga last cycle despite not really having a Bundesliga team at all. And also looking at my squad, I think particularly the fullback positions I'm kind of lacking, and Premier League hasn't really helped too much. And using the 3-4-2-1, it's really important. So I'm excited to pick up potentially some good box-to-box wide players. But yeah, I think honestly we're pretty much done, wrapped up. I don't know if there's anything else people want to kind of mention at the end here. Any other business, if you like?
It might be a conversation to have in the summer, but I feel like we either need to be fully leaned into loans or not have them at all. I feel like we're in a weird middle ground right now where people can use loans as much as they want in friendlies, which, as we've mentioned, means we're going to go into Liga team of the season, and the friendly is just going to be loan Messi team of the year and Mbappe team of the year, and it's going to be like ridiculous. I don't know if that's what should be happening. I like the concept of loans in general, and I think there's an interesting way that you could run the game like that, but it feels like a weird halfway house that we're in at the moment.
Yeah, we should wrap up. So maybe it's something we'll talk about in the future, and people can send in their thoughts at @FUTweeklyPod on Twitter, FUTweekly@mail.com, or in the comments on YouTube or the Pod Priority Questions channel in the Discord. It really feels like it's not so much of an issue in friendlies where there's a limit in terms of the number of loan players you can actually use. Whereas now with so many games being available for many loan players, it's just a crazy amount of loans appearing in champs, which is meant to be the competitive mode you really work towards. And now people are getting loans for like 20 odd games and just using this ridiculously difficult to obtain player in champs and gaining a competitive advantage. It's almost become like renting a player rather than actually just trying them out like loans were meant to be.
I mean, I've never got to buy team of the season moment Son again. I think I've got like 57 games on him. Like, I mean, I'm there. Honestly, it's a joke.
Well, it's an incentive for people to buy packs as well, isn't it? It's a guarantee of team of the season quality players that people can actually use, and I can see why they do it. But anyway, we can talk about this in the future, and talking about what we're going to talk about in the future, we'll be talking gameplay on the next episode. It'll be a supporter episode. It will be out later this week, so if you fancy getting that episode, and of course entering the 36,000 FIFA point giveaway, then you can do that over on Patreon. You get an extra episode every single week, and you're supporting the podcast, keeping it going, making it possible as well. If you're a supporter listening, then thank you very much for doing that. But yeah, if you want that extra episode to enter the giveaway, then just search support for weekly. And you can also follow the link in the description of this podcast, or go to bit.ly/23 TOTS, all lowercase. And with that, we can say our goodbyes. So thank you very much to 𝗵𝘃𝑝𝑠 for joining us on this content podcast. Look forward to having you on the gameplay episode. It's been great to have you on. Where can people catch you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at AirJapes, and if I do feel spicy, I'm sure I will at some point coming up here, especially when they release more EA, what are they calling it? Ultimate FC or EA Sports FC. When they start releasing more news, you can check out my newsletter, which is p2bsnacks.substack.com.
Great. And then Josh, thank you very much for coming on. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so JoshXL's on Twitter, although if you do search spreadsheet Josh or spreadsheet FIFA, I still come up there as well. That's mainly where I am at the moment. No video formats currently.
Yeah, but I think there is actually from Richard. And Richard, I'm looking forward to getting some of those gameplay tips. I think I need to be a bit more cynical after last weekend. So looking forward to having you on the gameplay podcast. But where else can people find you?
It's all good. I will be there, and you can watch the terrible FIFA in action. Twitch.tv/𝗏𝗏𝘀𝗁𝘀98. Currently 10-1. Finished rank 2 last week. Hopefully, rank 1's on the cards this week.
Nice. Sounds good. Well, that does wrap us up. Thank you very much to you listeners out there for tuning in. If you are listening on YouTube, then a reminder to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. It definitely helps. And if you're listening on the various different podcast platforms, then do subscribe on that podcast platform to get the podcast into your podcast feed. A reminder to check out the Patreon to support and get extra podcasts and that giveaway. Link in the description. And a big thank you to those supporters keeping this podcast going, and to those icon patrons: Dave B, 𝘭𝘰𝘬𝘦, Coach Vass, DJ FIFA Player, Alan G, Alistair, Anthony R, Dominic P, Rob P, Jeff B, Stephen F, Tom B, Damon H, David S, Nick Jack M, Eric T, Neil P, Adam G, Dan W, Waterman, N Hagman, Harry A, Jake G, Roger D, Springford, Alec, Bracco, Nishant, Harry P, Alex M, Lee A, Brendan W, Andrew C, Joe W, Timothy J, Dylan, J Kell, Ibis24, Adam R, Sam K, Graham W, Andy, Ads H2K, and Brian V. Plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, 𝘭𝘰𝘬𝘦, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato Foot for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add, though. FIFA's a bit like life, really. It has its many ups and its many downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to thecalmzone.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to thecalmzone.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.